Hello everybody and welcome back to Blanche Fitness. It's Wednesday and you know what that means. It's time for Jump Around, our weekly cardio class. And I'm don't let the exercise clothes fool you. I'm still on my rest week, I promise. But I just am used to teaching in this. It feels weird to teach in like civilian clothes. It always blew my mind. My mentor, when he was still teaching classes, he would just show up in like jeans and a t-shirt and demonstrate stuff that way. And I was always fascinated by that because I just like, especially with the types of exercises that we do, I just don't get enough mobility in jeans to be able to demonstrate them effectively. But again, whatever you're comfortable with. So hi everybody, I hope your week is going well. Mine is definitely going a lot better than last week did, although my poor shoulder still definitely, I'm glad I'm on a rest. Definitely glad I'm on a rest. Hoping that I can get some appointments set up to start caring for it a little bit better because this is the most it's bothered me in a while. And I'm not quite sure what changed because certainly nothing about my routine changed. I do think it's primarily stress, but I want to check in and see what happens. Oh, well, I'm glad that you popped into the chat at least. Hello, I hope work's going well. But yes, we're here. We're here. Even if we're not working out, we're hanging out. Yeah. It's been a good day. Good day. I got out on my bike to ride over to a friend's for lunch today, which was absolutely lovely. Albeit quite hot, but you know, it's the low 90s today, so that's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Yep, we're good, right? Yay. Oh my goodness. But I'm excited to be here. It's nice to teach on my rest weeks and get to take it a little bit easier. I don't always give myself permission to take it easier when I'm teaching, but rest week is a good week for me to be like, nope, gotta do it. But yes, so it's Jump Around, it's our cardio day. Woo! We love cardio. Maybe intense, but we do it anyway. So yeah, I don't know. I know we're running a little bit late, so I kind of feel like we should just sort of dive right in. So let's do our pre-class checklist. Make sure you got your water in whatever vessel you are using. There we are. You've got your comfy clothes, whatever that means to you. You've got your mat or mat-sized space on the floor. And if you use a fitness wearable, now is the time to turn them on to high-intensity interval training. I am obviously not bothering to turn mine on today because I will not be training high intensity or otherwise. But if you use fitness wearable, go ahead and do it. And if you don't worry about it. But yeah, let's dive in. Let's dive in, my friends. I think that's what is called for right now. This is about when we would normally start anyway. There's just a little bit less like lead-in chat time at the beginning. So we're gonna start with our warm-up. All right, and yeah, usual 16 minutes. If you were new to class, here's what I'll do. If you're new to class, just a reminder to focus on the bare minimum, which is starting on time, stopping on time, and doing the exercise correctly. All right, those are the only 3 things you need to focus on, and you will get a fantastic workout, okay? So don't be over there, especially if you're still new to class, don't be over there thinking that you need to push for 100% or 120%. Like, bare minimum is all we need to focus on, all right? All right, I don't know why I put my glasses back on. Warm-up time, yeah! So, as a reminder, I will demonstrate things once or twice. I'll do a lot of talking about form, but I will not be doing class with you. Sorry, but modeling good behaviors, modeling the importance of rest, which we talk about a lot. But everybody start on your mats, on your backs, One foot crossed over the opposite knee, and as soon as that horn goes off, we begin with hip rocks and bridges. All right? Hey, there we go. For a second, I was worried I hadn't turned the speaker on. So, hip rocks and bridges, nice easy start to our warm-up. We're getting a little bit of that core engagement to help pull the hips up. You don't have to pull them up as high as you can go, all right? Again, this is the warm-up. We're booting up systems, so I'm not over here going, yeah, I have to go all the way up there, and then I have to go all the way up there, okay? All of this can be sort of bare minimum movement, and bare minimum kind of feels like a misnomer. You know, it's not that we're not moving and engaging those muscles, but we're not pushing for a lot of intensity, a lot of power. We're not there yet, all right? All we want to focus on right now is making sure that we are booting up the appropriate systems for our workout, okay? And we don't want to run through all of our energy in the warm-up, or the next 45 minutes will be kind of miserable. All right, switch feet, same thing. Again, remembering that even though you push off the floor with the foot, you still need that core engagement to really pull the hips up off the ground. So this is our first opportunity to really check in there and go, ah, so that's what it feels like when I contract those abdominal muscles, okay? And given how important they are as a stabilizing muscle group, it's a good thing to start with, okay? We do a lot of ab work, and we do a lot of talking about the importance of the core in almost every exercise that we do, frankly. So this is a good place for us to start that initializing process and go, okay, yep, that's what it feels like when I have that muscle group engaged, and I'm going to want to maintain that through the rest of class. All right? All right, now for our leg sequence. 3 exercises in a row on the first side before we move to the second side. So we start with our Jane Fonda, which is just this nice leg lift. We've got, we're lying on a straight line, okay? So we want the body in a nice straight line. Again, use a guide like the edge of your mat if you need help making sure you're in that position. Remember, it's a little bit of a balance. We're balancing on the ball and socket, which is obviously not a flat, it's a rounded area. So you want to make sure your core is engaged again so the hips aren't rocking forward or back. And when we lift that leg, we want to keep it in line with the body. We don't want to pull it actively backwards, but we don't want to let it drift forwards as well. So just engage that glute as you lift the leg, but don't pull, and that should keep the leg nicely in line. All right, now top foot flat on the floor in front of the bottom leg, lifting that bottom leg. So now the bottom leg is our working leg, okay? And as always, this position requires, to a greater or lesser extent, engagement in the hips to pull that knee back. We want the knee pointing straight up towards the ceiling. So if I was standing on this leg, my knee would bend forward directly over the foot, all right? So this is the place where we start focusing in on that knee positioning for squats, for jumps, any of those types of exercises. This is where we start working on that. And this position may be easier or more difficult on one side versus the other, depending on your hip flexibility. If you have a lot of variance in your hip flexibility, then you may find it a breeze on one side and really difficult on the other. But now we go to beach pose. This is our third and final exercise before we switch sides. And same working leg. Now the foot's just flat on the floor behind the bottom knee. And honestly, this is our easiest position. We've got this nice stable triangle piece right here. So we don't really need to worry about rolling forward or backwards. We're no longer balancing on an uneven surface, and we can really just focus in on what the muscle groups are going into this leg lift, because they're the obvious ones. But then you start to feel, when you really dig in, you start to feel, there's a little bit of engagement and contraction in my lower abdominals, and that seems to go into lifting that leg as well. So take whatever quiet moments you can during exercise to really just focus in and go, what parts of my body are actually engaging to make this movement happen? All right, now we go to the other side. Same 3 exercises. So Jane, we got the same setup, okay? And same lifting of the leg. Again, we're still in the warm-up, so we don't have to be lifting the leg all the way up there and down. You can if that feels easy to you, but I would generally not go nearly as high as I could do, because again, we're really focusing on booting up systems. We are going through this warm-up to let our muscles, let our brains, let our cardiovascular systems, let all of these systems know that we are about to be exercising so that they can start to shift operations to support that, basically, okay? So I'm never going to be asking you to go for 100%. All right, foot flat on the floor in front of that bottom knee. So feel the difference. I know I have a huge difference in my hip flexibility, which means that on this side, it's really easy for my knee to start caving in if I'm not engaging the muscles in the back of my hip joint and pulling that knee back and then continuing to maintain that engagement. And the thing is, this is as low impact a position as you can get. We're not putting any standing pressure on the leg, so if the knee starts caving forward, it's not the end of the world. But by that token, this is also a great time for us to really focus in and practice this muscle engagement so that when I'm in a situation where I am putting standing pressure on that leg, I know that my knee is being kept safe because I already did the practice in a lower impact environment. All right? Now for that beach pose. And the nice thing about the beach pose, you immediately notice how much easier it is to maintain the knee pointing straight up towards the ceiling. It's not really a danger for the knee to go caving forward. You have to have a little bit of engagement in that hip joint, but it is, for basically anybody, I'd say, going to be pretty easy to maintain this positioning, okay? And then we're just lifting that bottom leg. Third and final time on this side, and then we will move into our next sequence, which is going to be opening up our hips and our back. So really warming them up, getting some active stretching in there, starting to move them around, which if you work, at a desk all day, or if you're standing all day, you probably can use these types of warm-ups. I know that I definitely can. So here we go. Let's start with our scorpion twists, yeah? So lying on our stomachs, forearms planted on the ground, swinging one leg behind, trying to get the foot flat on the floor, trying to get that knee pointing up towards the ceiling or as far as it can go. And then back to center and other side. And we just go back and forth, making sure that the elbows and the forearms remain planted on the ground. They are not moving anywhere. So if you're here and you're like, oh man, if I just lift the elbow, I could really get that knee up higher. Well, that's nice, but that's not the exercise. So if you can't go any farther without your elbow coming up, then you've hit the upper limit of where your flexibility is right now. And by that same token, you'll be able to notice more easily when your flexibility improves, okay? So really keep those forearms planted no matter what. All right. Then we stand up, we pick up our imaginary PVC pipes, hold them above our heads, and we do our nice big torso rotations. I generally want you to switch directions every 2 rotations or so, just so that you're evening yourself out, because we only do this on one interval, okay? So you don't want to be going in one direction the whole time and then be like, well, damn it, I guess that's all I get to do. Making sure that the movement is being generated from the hips, okay? So we turn, the hips come with us, they turn a little bit, and then we fold at the hips, bring that back all the way down, turn to the other direction, lift up, okay? But it's all being generated from the hips rather than diving or following the arms or anything like that. Just found a green hair. All right, squat position, still holding that imaginary PVC pipe above your head. We've got our feet about shoulder width apart, maybe a little wider, not too much wider than that. And we're just doing squats, okay? So here's the point where we go, all right, how is our knee positioning? Because now it matters. Because what we don't want to do at any point in this exercise is to have our knees try and cave in towards each other, okay? So we want to squat down and we want to be able to stand up without that happening. And if you can't, if you can get all the way down here, but then as you're standing, they really try to come together, then narrow your stance a little bit, all right? Practice in that narrower stance, build up that strength, build up that understanding of the movement, and then some classes down the line, you can take it back to the wider position and see how that feels. All right. Now for our Samson stretches. Nice big lunge, straight leg behind you. Arms go straight up towards the ceiling. Then we step back up to that front leg and other side. So we're going back and forth between the two positions, really focusing on stretching, opening up the front of the hip flexor. You want to make sure that your hips are pointing forward no matter where you are in the exercise. So even if my leg is behind me, that is not an invitation to pull that pelvic bone outward like that. We want the pelvis facing forward the whole time. And reaching the arms up, they're just going straight up. We're not trying to bend behind us. I recognize that there is a lot of bend in the back just because of the exercise itself, but we're not trying to enhance that, all right? And now, last exercise in this sequence, we've got this nice wide squat, hands on the knees to keep them safely in position, and then just twisting one shoulder in towards the midline and then the other, okay? And just letting it go back and forth. So the only things that should be moving are your shoulders. We're not bouncing up and down out of that squat position. We're definitely not letting our knees try and cave in and follow the shoulder as it comes in. So it's a lot easier in the warm-up because we get to just have our hands on our knees, and that really helps to lever them out and reduces their ability to, try and cave in against your orders. But yeah, the only things moving are our shoulders as we get that nice twist towards the top of the spine. And now for cardio, starting with jumping jacks. Nice, easy jumping jacks. Again, just because we've hit the cardio section of the warm-up does not mean that we are immediately ramping up to full strength, full intensity. So I'm doing pretty small jumps. I'm keeping a nice bend in my arms, so not straightening them and really increasing the range of motion, okay? And this is just an opportunity for us to start booting up cardiovascular system. Get that heart rate going a little faster. Get that breathing going a little faster. Let the system know that we are going to need it to speed up movement of oxygen through the body while we're doing this activity, okay? So this is our opportunity to get that process started, all right? In a nice chill way. I mean, everybody's done jumping jacks at some point, I think. Now, we go into our kick-throughs, which are obviously a little bit more complex. Hand flat on the floor, shoulder directly over wrist. Opposite leg is the standing leg, 90-degree angle, knee pointing up towards the ceiling. Kick that free leg across the body. Then twist in, replace hand and foot, and other side, okay? Some of the big form things, you really want to maintain that 90-degree angle with the leg, okay? So ways in which we don't necessarily do that, sometimes we try and sink our butt all the way down to the floor, because we're tired. We don't want to do that. Sometimes we let our knee try and cave in. We don't want to do that. That puts some really nasty torquing pressures on our knee when we then try to push back around and switch sides. So just another reason why you really want to keep the shoulder as close to the wrist as possible rather than pushing farther away. And last but not least, burpees. So jumping into that plank and then doing a wave push-up, jumping the feet forward, and a nice big victory clap at the top. Yes, you have to do the clap each time. Yes, you have to do a wave push-up each time. No plank push-ups here. And yes, even though this is burpees, we still don't have to be at 100%. We're close, okay? And that's the nice thing about the warm-up sequence, is that it naturally ramps up the amount of energy that we need to perform different exercises. So obviously, we're getting much closer, but we still don't need to be at 100% power output, all right? We just finish out our warm-up. We're cheering ourselves on because we're excited for the remaining 45 minutes of class. And good job, everybody. Let's get that water. Yeah, water time. I think I do that every class. And if I do, I apologize. It's very easy to just fall into regular habits. All right, making sure that we are drinking water. Yeah, it's a lot easier for me to hydrate when I'm not working out with you, because I'm not going over here like, gotta breathe, but gotta keep talking, but gotta drink water. So, yeah. Okie dokie. Okie dokie, my friends. What are we gonna do? Oh, we're gonna do this. Yeah. Wow, no, we're not gonna do that. Sorry, I have about a billion different things. We're gonna do this. Yeah, here we are. Ooh, that's something we haven't done in a while. I like it. Okay. Found the class plan. You'll be happy to know. Class can continue. So we're gonna start with the Tavita sequence. 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. But, and this is unusual for how we've been running our Tavitas recently, we are gonna have 3 exercises, okay? So we're gonna go through them 3 times each, just as we do in many of our perpetual motion sets, okay? So our 3 exercises, first one is going to be aerobics knees. So this is our exercise. It's a nice standing abdominal exercise. We do a little bit of a squat, like a 45-degree angle, and then we stand up onto one leg, bring the other knee up, and then opposite elbow to knee, really engaging the obliques to twist, bring that elbow down, back to squat, and to the other side, okay? Then we just go back and forth. Second exercise is going to be turtle waves. So anytime we do a turtle, we start rolling up on the shoulders, then up on the feet here. We're going to jump into a plank. Quick wave push-up, jump the feet forward, and repeat, okay? And then third exercise is going to be flying chickens. Ooh, it's been a while. So starting with the feet together on the mat, thumbs at chest height. If you wear a bra, you can hook your thumbs behind your bra straps. And we're jumping the feet out in the air, bringing the elbows up, and then landing everything right back in this starting position. So out in, out in, out in, out in, just like that, okay? So there we go. Aerobics knees, turtle waves, and flying chickens. And we've got 30 seconds of work to 10 seconds of rest. Remember, if you will, that this first sound does not mean go. That's our stop sound, our rest sound. Then knock, knock, knock tells us to get into position. Get ready, get set, and go. So our aerobics knees, we want to get a little bit of a rhythm going, okay? You want to push for a little speed. That's where we're getting the cardio element. And you want to make sure that these obliques are really twisting, okay? and twisting, and then the abdominal muscles contract, and that helps you to bring the elbow down to the knee. So it's really working the whole core set, okay? We like them, we like them. They're still relatively new, sometimes I forget about them, but I like them a lot. All right, turtle waves. Remembering when we do the roll in our turtles, any turtle, again, we want the core engaged. We want it rounded and contracted, so we have that contraction and that rounding in the lower back, and that helps us to be able to perform that rolling motion, okay? Whereas if my back is flatter and not engaging those muscles, it'd be a lot easier to just sort of end up in turtle on its shell position, which is not what we're going for. All right, 10 seconds may not seem like a ton of time, so I want you to use it to the fullest extent. But now we're doing flying chickens. Remembering, as with most exercises, even when they're not a core exercise, even when they're not necessarily heavily focused on the core engagement is still going to help 9 times out of 10, 9.9 times out of 10. So for this exercise, we've got all of our limbs going out in different directions, but they need to snap back to a center line, and an engaged core provides that center line, all right? So we're not being pulled off course, or roaming around on the mat or anything like that. All right, that was our first set done. Now back around to the second time, back to those aerobics knees. And you do want, we're not doing a huge, deep squat there, okay? So we're doing maybe this far, and up, and down, and up, okay? But you want to get that nice squat in there. And again, there's so many ways that we can modify body weight exercises to put more emphasis on specific areas. So if you want to put more emphasis on the legs in that exercise, do a deeper squat. More power to you. All right, and our turtle waves. It is so critical that we have lots of strength and stability in those shoulders when we do this exercise, because there are 2 points where we're jumping our weight through the air, and we're basically keeping ourselves stable using those shoulders when we jump back and when we jump forward. So you want to make sure those shoulders are really coming to the party, okay? And if that's a struggle for you, then that's probably an area that you want to focus on strengthening, all right? Now back to flying chickens, the most majestic of barnyard fowl. I do like this exercise a lot. It's a good cardio exercise. It's easier for people to pick up, but it's also very unambiguously cardio. Yeah, just focusing in, remembering always, every time we start an exercise, we check in on that form. We want our form to be just as good as we head into this third and final cycle as it was when we started. So always doing that check, doing that touch base. Doesn't matter how many times you've done the exercise. And when we talk about, you know, wanting to make sure that we've got our form solid. So the fact of the matter is, it is an unattainable goal to say, my goal is to never lose my form while I'm doing an exercise. That's simply not going to happen. That's not how brains work. That's not how bodies work. What our goal is we want to notice when we are beginning to have issues with the form as quickly as possible, and as quickly as possible after that, bring ourselves back into form, or make the determination that we need to stop and take a step back. That's also a totally valid response. But that's what we want to do, okay? It's not that we always have perfect form, because that perfect is the enemy of good and is also an unattainable goal. It's that we notice quickly, and hopefully a little more quickly each time, when we're starting to lose some component of the form, Maybe our core is not as engaged as it was. Maybe we're feeling fatigue in our shoulders, and we focus back in and try to get that form back into line. That's how we train. That's how we improve, okay? We reduce the time between losing form and noticing. We reduce the time between noticing and going back into correct form. And we reduce the number of times that we need to stop doing an exercise entirely because we just can't maintain the form anymore. All right? This is how we build. This is how we grow. And that was the end of that set. Yeah, good job, everybody. Rah. I like it. These classes feel much more like I'm lecturing at them, which is funny because I'm always lecturing because it's Twitch. It's not like I'm having a, you know, unless people are in the chat, it's not like I'm having an active dialogue with people. But to be not doing the exercises at the same time, I definitely feel like I'm lecturing a little bit. All right. We are going to do another set. This time it's going to be 30 seconds of work to 10 seconds of rest. Okay, so we're upping it a little bit. And 3 new exercises. Oh my God. You know what, my friends? I absolutely used the 30 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest timer on that last one without realizing it. So this one's going to be 20 seconds of work to 10 seconds of rest because, sorry about that. All right, so yeah, we're just switching things around. That's fine. So 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. 3 new exercises. First one is going to be Flaming Scarlets. Arms held in a V for victory. Jumping back and forth from foot to foot, trying to get those knees up above the crease in the hips each time, okay? So that's the goal. To get there, you want to focus on lifting the knees up as high as possible. So this isn't a trot, okay? Each time, even if you can't get them all the way up there, each time I want you to make sure that you are lifting those knees as high as they can possibly go, okay? So we've got those. Let's do some push-ups. You'll know how much I love them. You can do wall, incline off of furniture. You can do a nice traditional plank push-up, one off the knees. You can do half wave, half plank, full wave. Just make sure the shoulders are directly over the wrists. And as you go through the motion, keep those elbows glued in by your sides rather than letting them fan out to the side, okay? And then third exercise, it's gonna be shramps. I don't know why I keep standing up. Shramps, so we move back and forth along the mat with this rocking motion. First moving our shoulders to the side, then our hips, shoulders, then hips. And when you hit the end of the mat, you just start going back the other way, okay? So those are our 3 exercises. We've got Flaming Scarlets, we've got push-ups, and we've got shrimps. All right. So 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off this time. And sorry for anybody who noticed my error in the first one and was like, what's happening here? But we begin. Woo! Flaming Scarlets, very akin to high knee runs. Obviously, the only difference is having the arms in the V versus just keeping them down at your sides. And if you have shoulder issues and you need a modification, just go ahead and do high knee runs, okay? That is always an acceptable modification. All right, and now down to push-ups. Get ready, get set. 20 seconds is just so short. And that's the whole point of the Tavita timer, right? We love this timer because it gives us the opportunity to really push, sort of sprint through an activity we wouldn't normally be able to sprint through, and then to be able to pull back, take some quick rest. And, you know, it's funny because 10 seconds of rest doesn't seem like a lot, but that's half the time that we're moving, okay? So you get half that time back as rest. All right, and now we are doing our shrimps, always remembering that if you're having difficulty figuring out the movement, if you're sort of turning in circles, you can just focus on doing a boat rock to start with and just try and visualize. All right, eventually, when I lift my shoulders off the floor, I want to move them to the side. When I lift my hips off the floor, same thing. All right, second verse, same as the first. A little bit more tired, but definitely not worse because you're all awesome. All right, checking back in on those flaming scarlets. So what are the points? Start identifying the points in the exercise that become harder as you get more fatigued. So for flaming scarlets, that's our ability to get those knees up as high as we were before. For push-ups, that's our ability to keep those shoulders nice and strong and stable above the wrists, and our ability to keep those elbows glued in tight by the sides rather than letting them fan out, okay? So we identify the points in each exercise where we are going to feel the effects of fatigue the most, and we focus our attention there and go, all right, what can I do to make this stronger, all right? Shrimps are in a whole different ballgame. I love shrimps because I love that kind of isolation movement, you know, where we're moving literally just the chest and nothing else is moving around. But if you don't have training in that, it can be a much more difficult, less intuitive exercise. So don't be afraid to do the modified boat rock, to do that visualization work before you ever start trying to do the exercise, okay? All right, third time through, last time through, gotta love it. Checking in, how are those flaming scarlets feeling? I know how much harder it gets, but just think, 20 seconds is not a ton of time. You have absolutely got that energy in you. And look at that, it's over. See, didn't I tell you you had that energy in you? All right, and then push-ups. And always remembering for push-ups, there's a lot of bullshit cultural stuff that's like, oh, plank push-ups are the only good push-ups and everything else is just lame or not as intense. That's crap, okay? You do the version that you can maintain, that you can really strengthen with. And then if you want to test yourself or push yourself on a different version, go for it. But never let anybody else shame you into doing a version of an exercise that you are not ready to do. Form, okay? All right, and back to those shrimps. Last time through. If you're turning in circles, it's probably because you're moving your hips too far laterally because they can make it a ways down the mat and your chest does not have the ability to go as far. So you want to rein in that hip movement so that they're both moving about the same amount of space, distance, whatever. Good job, everybody. Oh my goodness. All right, coming back to that water. Gotta love it. Yeah. Hydration. See, look at that. I'm definitely better at drinking water when I'm not teaching, which feels counterintuitive, but you know, it's just, when you're talking the whole time, it can be a little bit difficult to figure that out. All right, woo! And so this time, we are gonna do another Tavita. It's gonna be 45-second work intervals, 15-second rest intervals, okay? So everything's getting lengthened pretty significantly. But we're only gonna have 2 exercises, and you're just gonna go back and forth between those, okay? So a lot of things changing with this set. The length of the work interval and the number of exercises, the number of overall intervals that we're doing. But our 2 exercises, we're gonna have bicycles. So we start on our backs, we contract those abdominal muscles to lift chest and shoulders off the floor. One knee into the chest, the other leg extended but off the ground. Opposite elbow to knee, then switch and go back and forth, making sure to maintain that core engagement so that you keep those shoulders off the ground. And then the other exercise is going to be our jump rope. And if you say, Blanche, I don't own a jump rope, I will say, neither do I. This is where we use our imaginations. Yes, I do want you to mimic actually holding a jump rope, rotating it around, and we're just going for jump rope. And see, it's better this way because you're not in danger of whapping your feet with the jump rope. But yeah, so those are our exercises. Bicycles and then jump ropes. Gotta love it. So we're gonna have pretty long intervals. We get an extra 5 seconds of rest, but we're adding an extra 15 seconds of work onto the longest interval that we've done so far today. So it all balances. But that sound did not mean go. Just a quick reminder. Grab your last sips of water. Remember, the knocking sound is always your cue to get ready, get into position, and go. So for our bicycles, the big thing as we're engaging and maintaining this core, we don't want our hands behind our heads. I will generally keep my hands in front of my face, okay? And then I can bring one hand up like by my ear, and then other hand, same way. But at no point do I want to make contact, okay? Because a lot of us have a really bad habit of grabbing behind the head and then trying to pull forward on the neck. And so if you get done with abdominal exercises and you're like, well, I don't feel it in my core, but man, my neck sure is stiff. Well, of course it is. You've been yanking forward on it for 45 seconds. So always, I focus a lot on make sure you're actually using your core for core exercises because it's really easy to compensate for weak cores and not even realize we're doing it. But now we're doing jump ropes, okay? And again, core as a stabilizing muscle group helps us to keep that center line so that we're not floating around on the mat, la la la, okay? We want to just stay in one place, rotating that jump rope, jumping as quickly as we want to because again, we don't actually, or most of us, if you don't have a jump rope, use it, okay? Have fun, go nuts, that'll be awesome. I just don't own one and it's an exercise that I enjoy and you can do it if you don't own a jump rope, it just looks a little different. All right, so that was our first set. We're going into our second set, and our sets in this instance is doing both exercises. So back to our bicycles. And again, if you're really engaging and holding those abdominal muscles, you will feel it, okay? I don't care how strong your core is, and if you don't feel it, you're probably not using the correct muscles. And we're using both our abdominals and our obliques because our abdominals shortening, that lifts our chest and shoulders off the ground and helps to maintain that. But our obliques shorten, that twists my torso, my shoulders, so that I can bring that elbow to the knee and then other side. So we're really getting activation from the whole suite, okay? The whole suite of core muscles. And we love that. Those exercises that sort of use the whole suite are some of our favorites. Well, some of my favorites. I'm using the royal we. And back to our jump ropes. And it's nice to have some exercises that really don't have a ton of form notes, you know? These are small and steady jumps. Again, you want that core engaged for that stabilization, but that's basically it. Everything else is fairly self-explanatory. So, you know, there are a lot of exercises that we do that have a lot of components that are a little more complex, and you really have to focus in. And then sometimes there are exercises where we're like, you know what, we can just sort of chill. We're just here, you know, maybe I speed up how quickly I'm jumping, but other than that, we're just chilling. All right, now back to bicycles. I totally forgot that we didn't have a third exercise, so I was like, wait, where are we? What's happening? It's okay, you're all doing the right thing. You're back on bicycles. That's exactly where you want to be. That is exactly where you want to be. But yeah, y'all know how much I love core work, and I think most people want to do more core work, and it really just comes down to not realizing that we're not activating our abdominal muscles when we're doing exercises that should focus on them, okay? And you know, it doesn't matter how long you've been working out. You can still fall prey to that. I absolutely did. For years, there were several ab exercises we did in these classes, and I was always just like, well, I don't feel anything, but that's because my core is so strong. And that was not the reason. That was not at all the reason, my friends. And that's why I keep reminding you of that too, because it's very easy to fall into those traps. As you get more experience, as you do certain types of activities for more time, we fall into the trap of starting to think that we know everything. Because we now know something, we think that we know everything. And I fall victim to it too. And so I have to remind myself, and I in turn remind you, we always want to approach exercise with that open, inquiring mind, okay? And we always want to remind ourselves that no matter how long we've been doing something, there's still more we can learn. There's plenty we can teach at that point, and we don't want to get down on ourselves for our knowledge, because that knowledge is important, but there is always more to learn. And it is so crucial that we remind ourselves of that, and that we're not just over here going, oh, well, I'm not going to pay attention to the teacher because I know all of this stuff already. I know what I'm doing. I know that I've got this all perfectly down. You don't. I don't. Nobody does. Again, perfection is not our goal. It's an unattainable standard. And wanting to be perfect gets in the way of us getting good, getting better, improving our capabilities, learning more about how our bodies experience movement, react to it, learning more about how we fuel ourselves, how we care for ourselves, how we rest, okay? We want to learn all these things. There's so much. And so I want you to always show up here. I don't care how long you've been doing it. I want you to always show up here with an open brain, listening, being ready to learn something that you didn't know before, even about an exercise that you've done thousands of times before. And that's just so cool. Those moments where you're like, oh my God, that never occurred to me, or I never tried it from that angle. And that makes it so much easier. That makes it make so much more sense. That's why I keep explaining things. That's why I keep digging in the form, because I can describe something a dozen different ways, and it might be that 13th way that makes somebody out there go, oh, that's what they meant. And that's what we're going for, always, all right? So, open minds, open hearts, hopefully solid cardiovascular systems. Good job, my friends. All right. Dun, dun, dun. Let's grab some water. Okay. We're going to start ramping back down in terms of the amount of time. So this next set is going to be 30 seconds of work to 10 seconds of rest. Yes, really. And we're going to have 2 exercises. So no longer the 3, we're going to have 2 this time. So we're wild and crazy today. Wow! So our 2 exercises for this, we have not done double-legged mountain climbers in a while. So double-legged mountain climbers are different from our usual regular mountain climbers. But we start, as per usual, in that plank position. And what we're going to do is we're going to jump both feet forward so that we've got each knee on the outside of each elbow, and then jump back to that plank, okay? So from the front, what it'll look like is jumping forward, and so one knee on the outside of each elbow, and then jumping back. Hopefully not ripping your puzzle pieces apart the way I just did. But yeah, so that's going to require a whole lot more shoulder stability. So keep that in mind. And then second exercise is going to be boat rocks. We talked a little bit about them when we were doing strength, but now we're going to do them. So start in this pike, balanced on your tailbone, but contract and engage those core muscles to round the lower back, roll back on the shoulders, then back up to balance. And you need to check in and make sure that those abdominals are engaged the whole time, all right? This is an exercise where it's really easy to not actually do that. And so if you get to the end and you don't feel anything in your core, then I guarantee you, you weren't actually engaging and contracting those muscles. So just think about that, okay? All right, so double-legged mountain climbers, and then our boat rocks is what we are up to this time. Let me get that timer ready. Hey, yep. All right, timer is ready. And now, remember, first sound does not mean go. Honestly, I'm just reminding myself this point. All right, knock, knock, knock tells us to get in position. And here we go. So again, this is an exercise, same as when we were doing those turtle waves. We really need that shoulder strength and stability because we are jumping back and forth from plank to forward. And when we're up in the air, our shoulders are what are guiding the movement of our body weight, okay? So you need to make sure that they are fully engaged, that they are not going anywhere. We focus in on that a lot because shoulders are a naturally pretty unstable joint, and we have to put that effort in. All right, boat rocks. Again, really focus in on that contraction, okay? So I can make, you know, if I'm just sort of chilling like this, there's a natural round to my back, but if you're having difficulty figuring out how to get in that position on your own, imagine that somebody goes to punch you in the stomach. What is your natural reaction? You contract, you try to move your belly button away from the fist, okay? So really keep that visual in mind when you're doing the boat rocks. But right now you're back to double-legged mountain climbers. And it's an interesting exercise. It's just different enough from regular mountain climbers that some people do find it a little bit easier, and some people find it much, much harder. And to anyone asking me which is it supposed to be, yes. It always depends on where you are, on what muscle groups are stronger, weaker in your body, what your stability looks like, what your injury map looks like. So things are going to be for you how they are for you, which may or may not have any resemblance to how they are for anybody else. Alrighty? Oh my goodness. Woo! Big yawn. All right, back to those boat rocks. I tell you, it took me years to like boat rocks because I wasn't actually contracting my abdominals. And even now, I will start the exercise and I will have that moment or those moments of doubt where I'm like, is this actually doing anything for me? But I promise you, if you are actually contracting and shortening those muscles and holding that position the whole time, so not, you know, lengthen and then contract, but just really holding that contraction isometrically, whoa, yeah, you feel it, you get there, you've got it, okay? So a lot of times there are plenty of exercises that are sort of deceptive, that take a while to show you the work that they're doing until suddenly you go, wow, I'm really sore in this area, or wow, suddenly I feel a lot of muscle fatigue over here, okay? And I always enjoy those exercises. They it's not that they sneak up on you, but they just, they slow roll. And eventually they're just like, hi, I told you you were working. And that's really cool. So hopefully that's going well. I believe you're back to them. I believe I managed to talk through an entire mountain climber interval, just focusing on boat rocks, which it happens. It happens, my friends. All right, here comes our final run, our final set. Okay, so last set of double-legged mountain climbers. So really steel yourself. Make sure that that shoulder strength and stability is just as good here as it was in the beginning. And maybe you have to modify to get that. Maybe you have to slow down your pace to make sure that you are keeping control of the body weight as you move it through the air. That is fine. All right? We are never afraid to modify when we need to make sure that we are still doing the exercise safely and correctly. Okay? And over time, you may not have to modify as frequently. And that's cool. That's a measure of improvement. But never be afraid to modify. Never just try to muscle through. All right? And back to those boat rocks. How are your cores feeling? Seriously, this is definitely an exercise. I like doing it with longer intervals. So usually I actually do it with 45-second intervals. But if you are really contracting and holding that contraction, it really does get tiring after a while. All right, so hopefully you are experiencing that right now. All right, and now, good job, my friends. Okay, we're gonna take our quick break. I did have the AC on before class, which definitely has helped. It is amazing that even though I am not doing the full class, I still feel the heat and the humidity in the room. How are those water bottles doing, huh? Making sure that we're still hydrating ourselves. And even if you're just hanging out today and you're not working out with us, still make sure that you're hydrating, okay? All right. So, we've just got one more set, my friends. And it's back down to 20 seconds of work, 10 seconds of rest. And it is going to be just one exercise, all right? So here is our classic cardio Tavita to round out our cardio class. This is the interval where we just want to push whatever energy we have left. We want to leave it all on our mat, okay? We're not saving it for anything else. We're going to stretch after this, but we are not saving it for anything else. And that exercise is going to be burpees, okay? So you all know how to do burpees. You know what I ask for in burpees. We do them every day in the warm-up, so I don't need to dig into that form, okay? But now's the time to really ramp up the intensity, ramp up the speed, ramp up the power, okay? In the warm-up, we're still, doing them slightly lower powered. Here, we're doing no holds barred. All right. Everybody, get back on your mats. And I will get this timer ready to go. All righty. Oh, big yawns. I can yawn. It's been a long day. But all right, my friends, so here we go. Our final Tavita, our final workout timer. On the mats, ready, set, and we're doing our burpees. And again, remembering that when we jump back into that plank, we do a wave push-up, not a plank push-up. And if you don't have experience with wave push-ups, we literally we let the hips sort of sink down to the floor first, then we bend those elbows, bring the chest down, then press back up, and bring the hips back up, okay? So it is fairly self-explanatory, and that is the style push-up that we do for our burpees. But here we go. Remembering we get that nice big victory clap up at the top, and here in this final round, we are using that to cheerlead ourselves. We are using that to spur ourselves on, remind ourselves how freaking badass we are because we've just made it through an hour-long cardio class, yeah? So I want nice, loud claps at the top of this movement. And I want you to remember too, this is something I haven't talked about in a while, the utility of battle cries, okay? Doesn't have to be a battle cry, could just be really big, forceful breaths at different points. And we do talk about exhaling on the effort a lot as a useful tool, but as a motivational tool, making exclamations, making some sort of a yell when you do an exercise can really help to spur us on. And what I've noticed as a teacher is that AMAB folks are rarely, if ever, afraid to be nice and loud. And AFAB folks frequently tend to be a little quieter, maybe don't feel as comfortable letting loose in that same way. But I'm here to tell you that you are alone in your house, you're alone in your living room, or your basement, or your kitchen, I don't know your life, and you can be as loud as you want. So if you want to literally give a shriek as you jump up into the air and do that victory clap, then I want you to do that. I want you to see how fun that is, okay? You do not have to minimize the amount of space you take up during this class. You own this space, all right? You own this mat, and you are going to take every single inch of it, and you are going to have a great time while doing it. So whenever we're here, whenever we're working out, we want to find the fun in moving our bodies. We want to find the joy in the ridiculous things that we are able to do. And we want to remind ourselves through audio cues, through war cries, through whatever means possible, how awesome we are, how hard we are working. It is a Wednesday afternoon. We're halfway through the week. We're probably kind of worn out after work, but you showed up here and you said, I am going to do a cardio class, and look at you now. And I promise you, you are going to feel more energetic once you get a little ways out of class. You're going to feel that energy come back to you, and it's going to be great. So in this last set of burpees, I want you to really push, leave everything on the mat. You do not have to hold any energy back. You don't have to hold any noises back. I want you to just cheerlead yourself to the finish line because you've made it through this last hour. You should absolutely be proud of your effort. And now you get to rest. Hey, yes. Oh my goodness. Well done, everybody. All right, let's do some stretching, okay? And I'm going to do some stretching that I can do, having not warmed up in the same way that you've done. But always remember that these stretching sequences can just be a jumping off point. I don't do super long post-class stretching sequences, but I always recommend that you take the time, okay? So don't feel the need to just do what I do and then be like, all right, well, I guess that's it. If you want more stretching, go for it, all right? So we're just going to start in a nice standing position, feet about hip width apart, nice and stable, and our heads high up on our necks, straight above our shoulders. And we're going to let our chin fall forward to the chest, keeping those shoulders upright. Okay, so only the head is falling forward. And we're just going to do some side-to-side head rolling. So we roll the head to one side till that ear is pointing down towards the shoulder, and then back through the center and to the other side. And we're just going to go side to side. Feel that long stretch along the side of the neck. Oh, definitely Feels nice. Our necks are unsung heroes. They have to manage this big bowling ball worth of weight. All right. Now back to that neutral position. Drop that chin again. And then I want you to raise your head, but I don't want you to raise your chin so far that you're crunching down on the back of the neck, okay? So try to maintain an eye position where you're looking out on a diagonal, okay? So you're not trying to look directly above you, but by keeping your gaze out and to the front, you can lift that neck without crunching down on it, all right? So down and up and down and up. And just go back and forth a few times, okay? Now back to that neutral position, and now we will look to the side over one shoulder and other side. And just go again, back and forth, okay? And now, from that neutral position, I'm going to let my head fall to one side, so ear coming down towards that shoulder. I'm going to take that same arm up along the side of the head, and I'm not yanking down on the head. I'm really mostly just letting the added weight of having my hand up there help me to intensify the stretch along the neck, okay? So we're not trying to yank our heads down, pull them into a really weird contorted position, okay? We're just holding right here. Nice deep breaths, always wanting nice deep breaths while we're doing these stretches. And then release the hand first, let the head come back up to that neutral, and other side, okay? You always want to release the hand first so that you're not trying to lift the head back up and pushing it against that weight, because that kind of undoes all this nice stretching work that we've done. All right, so, we definitely need that stretch on this side. So release that hand and then bring that head back up to neutral. And now we're going to do our roll down sequence. So we are going to bring that chin and chest again. And then on an 8 count, we are just going to roll one vertebra at a time, folding all the way forward until we are folded over at the hips and the hands are on the floor or as close to it as you can get. All right? So chin to chest. And on an 8 count, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll want our hands down as far as we can go. Shake that head to make sure you're not clenching those neck muscles. Try and keep a little bit of a bend in the knees rather than locking them in position, okay? And I want you to just take some deep breaths here. We're going to feel a really intense stretch along the hamstrings. If you need to, you can sway your back and forth a little bit, all right? And nice deep breaths will help you to release some of that intensity. And now we are going to, again on an 8 count, 4 counts to bend the knees all the way down as far as you can go, and 4 counts to come back to this position. And when you straighten back up into this position, you should be able to get a little bit deeper into this stretch, okay? So bringing your torso a little bit closer to your thighs to intensify the stretch in the hamstrings. So here we go. Down 1, 2, 3, 4, and back 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, down 2, 3, 4, and back 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. And now we're just going to take each hand to the opposite elbow. So now we don't have the hands on the floor to support us, and that's going to immediately intensify that stretch because our torso is going to fall a lot lower down. So keep breathing nice deep breaths. Shake that head out again. Make sure you're not clenching the neck. Let your back sway side to side. if you need to take some of the intensity off of the hamstrings. And then release those hands down. And again, we're going to bend our knees and on that 8 count, roll right back up to standing. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold right here. Don't adjust your hair. Don't adjust your clothes. Don't shift position. Just stand. Nice deep breaths. Feel rooted into the ground, into your mat. Feel the blood moving back through your extremities. Nice deep breaths as you feel that strength and stability. And then move around a little bit, shake out your feet, shake out your hands, and I think we are good. Awesome. Good job, everybody. Good class. Very good class. I hope you had a good time. I'm going to have... Oh, yeah. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. Hopefully your waters are equally drunk. But yes, excellent class, my friends. I hope you had a good time as I did, even though I'm not like taking class right now. It's still very fun to teach it. And it's good for me to have the ability to sort of demonstrate, yeah, like I take rest weeks. I do a full week where I am not doing any moderate or high intensity exercise. And you know what? It's important. It's important to let our bodies rest and recuperate. And this is how we take care of ourselves, and this is how we increase the odds that we will be able to maintain a lot of mobility much later in life, okay? The stereotype of just, you know, we lose mobility and there's nothing we can do about it. It's not true, but we have to put the work in now. This is why we focus on form, so that we mitigate our risk of injury, because injuries are one of the biggest things that comes up and bites us in the ass in terms of our mobility as we get older, okay? And so whatever we can do to reduce that likelihood is going to be really important, all right? But I am always just so happy when y'all join me for class. Yeah, what a good time. So we've got 2 more classes this week. Friday at 5 p.m. is Functional Home Fitness, where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house. And then Saturday morning at 9 a.m. is the weekend kickoff, our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. Both of those classes will be at a secondary location. You're not getting me to no secondary location. Sorry, somebody showed me that John Mulaney bit recently, and it's just a delight. But yes, so this will be my first time having the experience of putting my money where my mouth is in terms of we can still get a great workout even if we are not in a regular setup with our regular equipment. So, again, probably good for me to be able to model these behaviors. Doesn't mean I'm not nervous, and that's totally normal. But yes, I hope you join me for either or both of those classes. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All those handles will be in my end cards, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all the VODs from these streams. You'll see some going up today, tomorrow, over the next few days, because I'm wildly behind right now. I'm trying to catch up. But definitely head over there and subscribe so you never have to miss a class, even if you can't make the live cast. If you want to help support me financially in making these streams, I've got a Ko-fi account for one-time donations, or you can subscribe to this channel if you're able to support a little bit more long-term. And if you want to help keep growing this channel and this community, then please tell your friends, loved ones, coworkers, anyone looking for an awesome fitness class. I stream 4 days a week. We've got a great community here, and the more the merrier. Now, make sure to finish off that water. Take your Where's My Waterline photo if that is a series you want to participate in. Make sure to get some food, start replenishing those glycogen stores, take that post-workout shower, and I will see you all back here again on Friday. Mwah! Have a great night.